Gentlemen, welcome back to another video. My name is Striker.
My name is Luba, and we are welcoming you from Spain today. We decided to do a video that in the last 2 weeks we saw a lot of information about Ukrainian crossing Mexican border. And there was a lot of bloggers who did this, a lot of articles, but we didn't know for sure, is it true or no, is it possible? And all of a sudden we got a call from our client that came to Ukraine in our tour for a hard rocket tour in June of 2021, and he said that recently he and his lady passed the border of Mexico in Tijuana, and she's in US right now. So they've been in the process of fiancé visa, but it was not proceed yet, so they decided to try it. It was a lot of information online that it is possible. He in details, like we did a Zoom call with him that you're gonna see in 1 minute, about how they did it, you know, how they got there. At the moment, there is even more support on Mexican border because before, when the President Trump was there, he kind of cut the possibility of people to walk through the border. It was only by cars. Nowadays, they open the corridor for people, and for Ukrainians, there is even a special line. There are some volunteers are working who are helping Ukrainians to pass the border, and the process seems to be easy enough. They still go through the interview, but the good benefit is that at this point people don't have to ask for political asylum. That was actually is not very easy and nice way for anybody. And now you just need to ask for humanitarian password. It's called гуманитарный пароль. All it do, it's the same as like European countries. It gives you opportunity to work in USA, to have insurance for your kids to go study. So it gives a lot of benefits, but I believe that it doesn't give any financial support. So some European countries do that. Here in Spain, they also not support like with monthly, or weeks support, like for example Germany. So have a look at the video, and we hope it will be useful for you. If you have any more questions, Vaughn actually would be happy to answer that as well. He's our, as we was making a joke, like our representative of Hard Rocket in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, so check out the interview we did on Zoom. It's really, it's got some information in there if you know anybody that's coming over, but it's just a really cool story of a guy that was with his fiancée. They'd recently got engaged, and now he managed to take not just her. So watch the video, it's a very interesting story, how he managed to take her and now that they are together, so check it out. Vaughn, thanks for joining us on this video. We spoke the other day, and your experience that you had was absolutely incredible, and you were so gracious that you would share that experience with other guys out there, just to give them a little bit of insight as to what actually happened, because you were actually in Ukraine visiting your lady when the actual war started.
But before you start sharing that, we want to go back a little bit in time and discuss the summer of 2021 when you met your lady. So tell a little bit how it happened.
In June of 2021, I went on the Hard Rocket tour and spent 2 months or a month there or so, and enjoyed my time there, and that's where we met.
Okay, and how many times have you been in Ukraine after that? So you met Elena in June, and then what was your next steps? How did you continue your relationship? How you stay in touch? She has a little bit of an English, right? So what was the conflicts? What was the difficulties, and what was the easy part, and how you managed that?
She knew a little bit of English, and we kept in contact all summer. I wasn't able to get back with work and life until October, but we very much kept in contact. She was excellent at communication, and daily, at least 3-4 times a week, would communicate on Viber. Got to a point we did videos, so it progressed. We went to Spain in October and spent a couple weeks there with her son Kirill, and so the three of us. That was a difficult trip because we were really getting to know each other in person for the second time with her son. And then I came home and went back right before Christmas, and we went to Tbilisi, Georgia. That's where I asked her to marry me, and so we got engaged. We came home for 3 days and then left for Finland, and those 2 trips were just her and I. And so then I came back again 17th of January. So we had a few trips together, traveling and getting to know each other, but a lot of it in the beginning was really through Viber for about 4 months.
Awesome. So you proposed to her right on the New Year Eve, and what did she answer?
She was like, well, which hand? Which hand? You know?
Yeah, because in Ukraine it's like right hand, and in US it's left. Okay, wonderful. So what happened after? You said that you came 17th of February. I guess that you wanted to celebrate Valentine's Day together, and something very unexpected happened right after that. So what was
Well,
going on?
I came home back to Utah on the 17th of January, and I had moved, so I set my house up and got to Kyiv. We met at the airport in Kyiv on the 11th of February to spend the Valentine's weekend in Kyiv. And you know, great weekend. Everything was normal. We did a photo shoot on the 14th, and some amazing photos. You know, and it was it really kind of captured us as a couple. Then we later that afternoon on the 14th flew back to Dnipro, and you know, it was kind of life as normal. She worked. I was home to go to school and get Kirill from school, and it was just me playing Mr. Mom for a little bit, you know. And my intentions were to stay till March 14th. I was going to spend the month and really spend some time together as much as we could as a family. Working on the fiancé visa, kind of getting that in place with the attorney. And, you know, a week and a half later, we woke up to the bombing in Dnipro. It was a little bit, not much. It went quiet after that. Dnipro so far has been pretty fortunate. But as things progressed, we put her friend on the train to Lviv, and eventually she made it to Frankfurt. The next day, we got information that now was the time to leave. So we put suitcases and 3 suitcases and some backpacks and everything, what we could fit in her little Getsy, and drove. And we drove from Ukraine to Moldova to Romania to Hungary to Austria, eventually to Frankfurt as well. And unbeknownst to us, her friend was there as well. So the reason for us to go to Frankfurt was the Kyiv embassy, the US embassy, was moved to Frankfurt. So our intentions were, let's get as close as we can to that embassy, hoping that things would be sped up somehow. We didn't know, but if we could move that fiancé visa along, that was our true intentions. Unbeknownst to us, you know, it came up through a friend and through a couple other articles that I saw, that to go through Mexico was an option, specifically Tijuana. And it's about the only entry into the US. Canada's not real friendly. Parts of Texas and other states, not the best place, but Tijuana, Mexico was the only place you could cross. And so, what would have been a week ago on Friday, we woke up, made the decision, booked our tickets, and that evening went to meet her friend, Sasha. Sasha, being in Frankfurt, we had met a couple times, and she said, you know what, those that helped me were unable to continue to help. And so she needed to find a place to live. She needed to move. And at that point, we just said, Sasha, please come with us. You know, come with us.
US tried to follow you to US through the Mexico.
Yes. And so she, after a little convincing, said yes. And so Saturday morning, I booked the tickets. Sunday, we figured out what to do with the car. Sasha's friend kept the car. We got on our flights and went from Frankfurt to Madrid, Spain. We had little hiccups along the way. The visa company that we used to get into Mexico sent to Lena it was an immigration form, not a visa. And we had, you know, they're at that point, they're just like, you know what, you can't go. You don't have a visa. And Mexican visa is free. It's not a big deal. It just has to be done online. And Elena was very convincing and, you know, quite tearful. You know, this is a stressful situation. And she says, please help us. We can't go back. We have to keep going forward. And so the gal there at the airlines says, okay, I'll help you. She pulls her cell phone out, types out, you know, Elena's got her passport. She types out a visa and says, I have to warn you, this has to be printed. There's no way to print it. She sent it to my email and says, you have a visa. I'm just not sure what they will do when you get to Mexico City. So we get on a plane. We're all quite tearful at that point because we realize we could be stopped at this point, you know. And we get on the plane, and there's 4 people there at the gates, and they're all crying, good luck, you know, keep going, we wish you well. And so 12 hours later, we get to Mexico City, and that's where it really got a little tense. As we got to Mexico City, and we knew our paperwork obviously wasn't accurate completely. Sasha and her daughter Polina was with us, and we knew Polina's wasn't, because her passport expired in July, and it has to be a year out. So we had fudged that date a little bit just to get the paperwork back. Surprisingly though, Polina's, they let go, but they picked all the others apart. And because we didn't have Elena's printed, they basically said, okay, sir, you're going to take Polina and you're going to go. And Elena, Sasha, and Kirill, Elena's son, come with us. Well, I grew up in Arizona. I know Mexico, and it's not the friendliest place at times. And so they separated us. We could see through the glass, and we could watch him, and they took him upstairs and across this catwalk. And at that point, we didn't know where they went. So I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Long story short, it was quite an emotional time trying to find each other. They left us long enough to miss our flight. We rebooked our flights. Stressed. Sasha scared about where her daughter is. Keep in mind, I speak English and Polina speaks only Russian. So bless her heart.
How is your Russian now?
Right. And Polina had trust in me, and she followed me around that airport, and where's mom? Where's mom? And you know, after a stressful time, we all got together, had breakfast, and got on our next flight to Tijuana. In Tijuana, for those that try this, Tijuana is the easy part. We took a van. There's CBX, which is supposed to be, you can pay a fee and walk across the catwalk to get to the US side. When you ask for asylum, CBX doesn't work. So you have to go to one of the ports. So they told us to go to a specific port. We got the van. Mind you, there's 5 of us and 6 bags and 4 backpacks. We're a pretty big party to move around. And the gentleman was wonderful. We get to the crossing, and he gets out and uses Google Earth or Google Translate. Sir, are you sure this is where you want to be? And I'm like, at this point, I'm not sure about anything. This doesn't look right. It's not the photos I saw online. And I says, what's on the other side? And I says, we need rental cars. We need to be able to get to the San Diego airport. We need something on the other side. What's over there? He says, it's just a neighborhood. This is the local traffic that works in the US and lives in Mexico. And he says, there's another one to cross. I'll take you there. And it's going to cost you. And I'm like, well, sure, whatever. You know, 600 pesos, maybe 20 bucks is all it's costing me. So he drives us 20 minutes away. We get to the next port. And he drops us at another taxi company. And they said, hey, we can get you across the border in 20 minutes. You know, car traffic was hours long. There was a ton of cars, which is normal. It has nothing to do with Ukrainians coming through. But he says, 20 minutes, we'll get you across. And I says, well, wait a minute. We're asking for asylum. He says, oh, that can take days. And he says, tell you what, for $40, we'll take you and your bags to the front of the line to walk through the border. Okay, well, I didn't realize what they meant by that. I'm like, sure, we'll put him in a car. He'll drive us up and we'll get out. Oh, no, it's closer than we thought. So he puts our bags on a cart. And this cute kid just says, come on, and is walking our bags down the sidewalk. Come on. And so we walk maybe 1,000 feet to the border. He drops our bags and says, sir, there's the border. So for 40 bucks, we could have drug our own bags, you know. But at the border, we met reporters. There was a couple that we've seen the photo of online as part of an article. There was also a sweet gal that's in LA from Moscow that was doing a documentary on this that's happening. And so they interviewed a little bit. We gave it about an hour, and we went to the border people, and I said, hey, I have 4 Ukrainians would like to ask for asylum. They simply said, we'll be back, have them get their passports out. So they came up, and Ukraine, you want to come through? Let's go. And so we all rushed through the literally the border. I mean, it's 10 feet of a walkway is all, super simple. And we walk up to a building, and it's the normal just traffic area. And they walk to this building and said, sir, this is where you keep going. Well, we had been separated in Mexico City, so I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this again. And he said, sir, it's okay. Give 20 to 30 minutes, they'll come out the other side. And you know, for the first time, we all felt pretty calm. We realized this was going to happen. And I did. I went through the other side, and about an hour later, they all came out. And a lot of tearful and emotions of, wow, okay, what we attempted, all the ways that we could have stopped and not made it, we made it. And the gal from Moscow that was doing the documentary, we spent another hour, and they interviewed and chit-chatted. And meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do we get to the airport? And so there was only a little Prius taxi that didn't fit us all. So her name was Sasha, and she says, Vaughn, tell you what, I have a Toyota Corolla. I can fit the bags and maybe one person if you guys can fit in the Prius. So she took our bags and Sasha to the airport. The rest of us got in the Prius, and we made it to the airport. Thought we could get on Delta. They were overbooked. End up on Southwest, 6:40 in the evening. We book it. The plane leaves at 7:40. Long story short, we make it back to Salt Lake through Vegas. And at that point, we made it home.
Man, what a relief.
We finally made it home.
Well, when you set off to go there and to go to Ukraine,
Would you ever
could
believe?
never imagine that's how you're getting home. You know,
After all the driving, after going through Mexico, I didn't want to go through Mexico anyway. It was a risk. But the backup plan was to go to Cozumel or Playa del Carmen. We're going to go sit on the beach.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out for a bit. But to make it back to Utah and to be here and to know, so what gets put in the passport is it's not asylum. It is literally a pass to get across the border. And they write in there, they staple in a piece of paper that says you've got a year. So till March of 2023, they're here, they can stay, and it gives us time to do the asylum paperwork and everything else we need to do for them all.
So in terms of the technicalities, I guess, behind all that process, it's the same as if you were like from any country. There's nothing special about Ukraine. So if you're a Mexican coming over and they do this, that's the same.
Or it was more like sympathy to Ukraine, and you think it happened because of the situation?
It very much is currently the sympathy for Ukraine. The world understands, they see it, and they want to help. And while we were at the border, there was a young couple with a baby that were from Russia, and they weren't clearing them through just yet. And so there's another article I read that, those coming up from South America are a little upset because they're not letting them in, but they are Ukrainians. And so, it's a very small window, I think, while the sympathy is there. But definitely well worth, if there's anybody out there, if you're thinking about it, it's doable, but don't wait. Do it as quick as you can.
Yeah, we're also having a similar conversation, I think today or yesterday, maybe, about the longer that time goes on, the less leniency they're going to have. Yeah, the less support that's going to be. It's going to be like, yeah, well, it's the dust is settled, regardless of whether what's going
Still
on.
going on, yeah.
But it's kind of out of the front of people's minds. So yeah, we agree with that. If anyone has any plans, and they should take advantage, I guess you could call it, at a situation that's like this. One question I've got is, what do you think this has done to your relationship?
Emotions and relationships and the ability to work together comes out of adversity. And I tell you what, I know we were close and we had a great relationship, but after all this, so much deeper, and the respect we have for each other. And, this wasn't an easy process. And as I look back, for me, in a lot of ways, this is just what I do in some respects. You just keep solving the problem. Yeah. Now that we're home and I look back, I think, oh my heavens, I look at all the different ways. And keep in mind this bearded man, and I don't normally have a beard, but she likes it. And
you also usually have a beard,
right? But what they're looking for, if anybody wonders, is they're looking to make sure this bearded man's not trafficking these beautiful Ukrainian ladies and kids. Yeah. And so you have to understand, when you go to Mexico, they're very aware of that, and it's good that they are, but just know the process isn't going to be easy on you. And so for our relationship, it's amazing. have a lot of gratitude towards each other that we were able to work together and get through it and not fall apart in the process. And the kids, oh my gosh, the flights and the hours, and they were exhausted and they were great. So yeah, it's amazing.
Because sometimes it can take a lot of time for for a woman to see in the man if that's what she wants, if he has got those abilities to lead that relationship, and sometimes it can take months and months and months or even years, but you fortunately did it in a space of like a few days, so you can tick that forward, and she knows that if there's a problem, you'll get it sorted. So yeah.
Well, and not only to bring, us as a family, but also to bring Sasha and Polina, her friend. And
This is incredible what you did. You just like basically, yes, it's a close friend of your fiance, but it's still just the random people for you, strangers, and you help them so much. Like you have the biggest heart.
Oh, thank you.
So what's the plans in the future? So now you've got two Ukrainian women living with you and the whole family.
Hard work, it will help Sasha to find special man, I think.
We talked about that after we spoke to you the other day. I was like, who do we have there that we
Guys, there's a beautiful lady now there in Salt Lake City. Vaughn is our official representative now in Salt Lake.
Yes. Plan-wise at this point, the attorney doesn't know. We've got to let him know today that we maybe have gone around them for the fiancé visa. We're now in Salt Lake. And to change the job that they're doing for us. It's instead of getting a fiancé visa and all the other paperwork, it's now trying to get asylum as well as the green cards and everything else we need to do for Ford. And so that's the first step. Past that, since we've been home less than a week or so, it's just really trying to make sure we have everything. You got to keep in mind they left with very little. And so now we have a ton of help and support, especially here in Utah. Friends, colleagues of mine have said, what do they need? We realize, oh my gosh, they probably need shoes. They probably need hair care. They probably need clothes. They need all these things. And so there's quite the group we have that have called and said, let us help. Please let us help. Give us a list, not only of their needs, but their wants, their desires. Let's help that to make them feel.
Is there anybody else in Utah who came these times, like during the war, or nobody that you know of?
There's one other gentleman that my sister was talking with his sister. We communicated on Sunday. His lady left and is in Copenhagen with some friends, and we talked about it. He was kind of setting the same thing up. His brother's here in Utah. Was going to meet in Tijuana. And so we kind of refined his plan a little bit to streamline what he was doing because of how we came through. And so he'll be here. I think he flies out Wednesday to get her and bring her back. So he'll be back here in Utah probably in another week. So we've been able to help him. And there's quite the Ukrainian and Russian community here in Utah. And so we went to dinner last night at a Mexican restaurant, and the waitress, "You're from Ukraine?" As she hollers to the whole restaurant, "Hello, they just came here from Ukraine," and everybody claps, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't. And then later in the meal, "Hey, come over here to the other part of the restaurant. Hey, they're just here from Ukraine," and everybody claps. And so, what a warm welcome. They're very welcomed here in Utah. So
that is incredible. Vaughn, thank you so much for sharing, because we did a call with you and like we kind of already knew a little bit of the story, but second time you say, like, we have a goosebump from that, and it's incredible. Like, I'm super, super happy for you because, I remember how you met. I remember everything, how days by days went on our tour, and, how she was driving her little Gets and how you was excited that she's driving manual and she just like got her license, and how like a little bit maybe clumsy she is, but how cute is that for you? I'm glad that you found these emotions, and it's incredible that now you have even more, like in such a short period of time, less than a year together, but you, like many people, don't have so much even in many years. Yeah. So it's great. And I know that you've been extremely kind and very, very nice with your kid. Maybe just a little experience with that, because I remember one very teary story that you told me when Kirill said you something on one of the visits. How is your relationship? So dating a lady with a child, it's probably different than dating a lady without a child. Did you have any challenges? How was your communication?
You know, it's always difficult. You know, obviously I'm in my early 50s. Krill's, he just turned 11 in January. And so it's interesting because I've kind of raised my kids and here we are again, you know, and I think for me, to be in a father position again, was very comfortable, but also to just see, Spain was really difficult, I think, for us just because him and his mom were so close. It was just them. And here comes another man, and he's kind of getting, you know, in the family. And so it was a hard transition there. But as it's gone on, you know, it's matured, especially with this trip, you know, across Europe and coming here. We both have this huge respect for each other, and he just wants someone to listen to him. And we've done web shooters. We've designed a web shooter for Spider-Man web shooters, and he told his mom, he says, "Mom, I so appreciate that Vaughn actually takes me serious." And so another friend of mine is actually an engineer here at Hill Air Force Base, and he does composites for the F-35 and F-22 programs. And so I got him on the phone, and he was at his office, you know, at the Air Force Base. And I said, "Hey, you know what? Here's his idea." He said, "Well," and he kind of goes through the idea with him. He knew what I was doing. And he says, "You know what?" He says, "I think it's doable, but when I get home and you get here one day, let's sit down and try and figure this web shooter out." And he was so ecstatic and so excited that, oh my gosh, they take me serious, you know? And so it's come a long ways, and it's great. He's a good young man, and as a family, truly this experience is probably, it could never have been duplicated for what we've been through, but definitely very close, and we're close now as a family.
That's great.
That's awesome. Well, of course, you know, we're happy for you, you know, and keep us updated in the future as to what's happening, of course, you know, and stay in touch as always. And
Yes.
thank you for sharing that experience. And I'm sure there are people out there that it's going to help, hopefully.
Yes, by all means. If there's anybody out there that wants to take advantage of Tijuana and
Yeah.
the logistics, yeah, give me a call and let me know. I'll be more than happy to help.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for having this call with us, and we see you very soon.
We'll see you
And
later.
hopefully in Ukraine, you know, when you come and visit your Ukrainian, you know, because still there's a family, your parents and friends. So we see each other soon.
Very soon. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll
Bye.
see. Bye.